The College Football Playoff Committee will consist of 13 members, and term limits will be 3 years, but some will be shorter, others longer initially to achieve a rotation. Committee members directly associated with any team under consideration during the selection process will remove themselves from any deliberations associated with that team and will not participate in any votes involving that team. The committee members are, and excuse me if I mispronounce some of their names, Jeff Long, Vice Chancellor and Director of Athletics at the University of Arkansas; Barry Alvarez, Director of Athletics at the University of Wisconsin; Lieutenant General Mike Gould, former Superintendent of the United States Air Force Academy; Pat Hayden, Director of Athletics at the University of Southern California; Dan Radakovic, Director of Athletics at Clemson University; Condoleezza Rice, former United States Secretary of State; Tom Jernstadt, former NCAA Executive Vice President; Oliver Luck, Director of Athletics at West Virginia University; Archie Manning, former Ole Miss quarterback and All-Pro NFL quarterback; Tom Osborne, Director of Athletics at the University of Nebraska; Mike Trangies, former Commissioner of the Big East Conference; Steve Weiberg, former college reporter for USA Today; Tyrone Willingham, former head coach at 3 different FBS programs. The committee's task will be to select the best teams, rank the teams for inclusions into the playoffs. They will meet in person beginning at mid-season and will meet several times to produce interim rankings before selection committee weekend each season. The interim rankings will be made public. They will meet again during selection weekend to decide the final rankings and announce the pairings. This means AP and coaches' rankings will not matter in who plays for the title. The 13-person committee chooses, and it doesn't have to be the top 4 teams as the AP and coaches see it. For instance, although it is unlikely, if the coaches and AP rankings have the same team at number 1 and the committee has that team at number 5, then that team is out. The guidelines used are conference championships won, which is a plus, but you do not have to win or even play in a conference title game to qualify. Strength of schedule and head-to-head competition. Compare outcomes of common opponents without using margin of victory. Other relevant factors such as key injuries that may have affected a team's performance during the season or likely would affect its postseason performance. In other words, if a star quarterback is hurt in the last game of the regular season, that team can be left out of the playoffs. The voting process will include a series of ballots through which the committee members first select a pool of teams to be considered and then rank those teams. In the playoffs, the team ranked number 1 by the selection committee will play team number 4 in the semifinals. Team number 2 will play team number 3. There will be no limit on the number of teams that may participate from one conference, and matters such as rematches will not be a consideration. The selection committee's goal will be to protect the top 2 seeds from playing in road environments in semifinal games. For instance, if LSU was the number 1 seed and USC was the number 4 in 2014, that semifinal could be played in the Sugar Bowl but not the Rose Bowl. 6 bowls will rotate as hosts of semifinal games. These bowls are Rose, Sugar, Orange, Cotton, Chick-fil-A, and Fiesta. 2 per year will host a semifinal. In seasons the bowls don't host the semifinals, they will feature matchups determined by conference contracts or designated by the selection committee. The Rose Bowl and the Sugar Bowl will host semifinals in 2014. The national championship game will be bid out separately and has already been determined for the first 3 years. For the 2014 season, the title game will be played at AT&T Stadium in Arlington. For the 2015 season, the title game will be played at University of Phoenix Stadium in Glendale, Arizona. For the 2016 season, the title game will be played at Raymond James Stadium in Tampa Bay, Florida. Let me give y'all an example. If the playoff was this past season, going into the bowl season last year, we had Florida State number 1, Auburn number 2, Alabama number 3, and Michigan State number 4. Let's say the committee also had these teams ranked the same way. The Rose Bowl in California would be one site for a playoff and the Sugar Bowl in New Orleans the other. Number 1 seed Florida State would play number 4 seed Michigan State. Since Florida State is the number 1 seed, then they most likely play the game in New Orleans, since it's closer to Tallahassee, therefore giving them what amounts to home field advantage. And then Alabama would play Auburn in the Rose Bowl. It is important everyone remember that the Committee of 13 decides who plays in the playoffs, not the AP or coaches poll. So if your team is ranked in the top 4, there is no guarantee they will be playing in the playoff. Also, if Jameis Winston would have been benched for legal reasons after the ACC championship game, then the committee could have left Florida State out of the playoffs to ensure a quality game. Although unlikely, 4 teams from the same conference can be selected to the playoffs. The SEC will most likely have 2 teams every year and likely have a chance for 3 some years. I hope this helps you understand the college football playoff system a little bit better. Ready or not, here it comes. Roll Tide Roll!